Blessings, beloveds. Anastasia, Cosmic Astrologer, with you today. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support and for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate that from all of you, so thank you. Today I'm going to talk about the partial solar eclipse that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. The exact date is the 16th of February 2018. So I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of the month of February in terms of the planetary energies and what that looks like just for the month of February. I've decided now to perhaps start doing monthly forecasts, which hopefully will be useful to anybody who's watching. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago on the total lunar eclipse that we had on the 31st of January. So I'm wondering how all of you are feeling post that particular eclipse. For me personally, it's been a really impactful eclipse on a number of different levels, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. Just simply to draw your attention to the power of eclipses, particularly from the point of view of watching the cycle, because the cycle generally lasts for about 18 months in terms of the nodes, which is what causes eclipses with the sun and the moon, when they move into a particular sign. And as we know, they move backwards through the zodiac, so they've been moving backwards through Leo and Aquarius. As a matter of fact, this cycle began in terms of Leo Aquarius in May of 2017. Now, just a couple of tips for you in relation to perhaps a more broader view of eclipses, as opposed to just looking at the partial solar eclipse that's coming up on the 16th of February, which I will unpack a little bit in a moment. But what I would like you guys to get your head around, if you already haven't, is these eclipses in the signs of Leo and Aquarius began in May of 2017. Well, that's when the nodes went into Leo and Aquarius. So that we had a few eclipses in 2017. In fact, we had 4, and we're going to have 5 in total this year, which will take us through towards the end of the year as well. So what's really important to do is, first of all, determine where Leo and Aquarius is, that polarity axis, those two houses, in terms of where those signs are located in your actual birth chart. Because what's been happening essentially is that since May 2017, the eclipses that we've had, both solar and lunar, whether full total lunar eclipse or whether partial solar eclipses or partial lunar eclipses, they have been landing in the Leo Aquarius axis in your actual birth chart. So instead of looking at one eclipse in isolation and just trying to make sense out of that, perhaps for the week leading up to that, it's probably more useful to actually look at where Leo and Aquarius is in your chart and just trace back to May of 2017 and have a look at what was happening in your life leading up to that point, and certainly what's been happening from that point until now. And this will really only come to an end later this year in terms of the nodes being in Leo Aquarius, so the eclipse is still being in Leo and Aquarius. Some have been really potent and intense, and some have been a little bit milder. but you're not looking at them in isolation. You're looking at a cycle that essentially goes for about 18 months, which is how long the nodes spend in two particular signs as they travel backwards in the zodiac. So in my case, for instance, I have Leo and Aquarius on my ascendant-descendant axis, and I also have Leo on the cusp of the second, and Aquarius on the cusp of the second, and Leo on the cusp of the eighth. So these eclipses that started in May 2017 have been hitting my first and seventh house axes, my second and eighth house axes. So those four houses essentially have been describing the energies of what I've been encountering personally with the solar and lunar eclipses, whether total or whether partial. And I'm not going to, at this stage, talk about what that has been for me, simply because it's been a life-changing time for me, and I'm just not ready to talk about that at the moment. So the only thing I will say is that, well, I've already said it, it's been life-changing for me. So when I say life-changing, I mean literally life-changing. So these eclipses have been very, very powerful for me. But what I want to say to that as well is, when you're looking at eclipses, you know, I mean, I don't know what stage each of you are at with your astrology, but if you have enough understanding or knowledge to look at transits and progressions, then I would encourage you to look at the eclipses in conjunction with certain transits and progressions that are linking up at the same time or close to the actual eclipse dates as well, because when big events happen in our life, it is usually a combination of different patterns that are emerging through our chart, which is seen through eclipses, transits, progressions, and other techniques that all point to something quite big actually happening in life. So it's very rarely just one thing in isolation. It is usually a number of different things, and of course that takes a lot of skill and practice to be able to zone into that and identify it and certainly understand it as well. But anyway, look, you know, it's a case of practicing and just constantly looking at your own chart and other charts, and you know, you'll never get it 100% right or 100% perfect, but it's, you know, this whole process and journey of understanding astrology, it doesn't really have an end point. No one really reaches a level, I don't think, where they can say they know everything about astrology, because even astrology is evolving as well, you know, in different ways. Okay, so as I said, there were 4 eclipses in 2017, and there'll be 5 this year of 2018. Now, the really big eclipse that we had, the total solar eclipse in August of last year of 2017, was an incredibly powerful energy that I think opened up a lot of different things, both I think personally and collectively as well, depending on, you know, what level you're working at. But you know, there were a lot of things energetically in terms of ascension processes and energetic things opening up when that particular eclipse in Leo happened last year in 2017. And I certainly feel that that is also the case with the total lunar eclipse, which we just had very recently on the 31st of January. It was a blood moon, and where I am situated here in Australia, in Melbourne, I was very fortunate that we had beautiful clear skies, and I was able to actually watch the entire eclipse without any clouds or anything getting in the way, and it really was an incredibly magical visual phenomena, and it felt like an incredibly powerful experience. And I did a really special meditation for the first half hour of it, because it actually went for about, I don't know, an hour and a half or something like that. So I watched most of it, and I did a meditation through part of it as well. And in fact, that particular night, I had the deepest, most beautiful, most restful sleep. It was a sleep that I haven't had with such peace and depth for a very, very, very long time. But certainly the couple of nights leading up to that eclipse, I had really restless sleeps, actually. And I actually dream a lot anyway. My whole life, I'm talking about dreams in my sleep state, when I go into that state where we let go, as it were, during our sleep, which is an altered state of consciousness. I dream a lot, and I've been very aware of my dreams and really pay attention to them, and have done that, most of my life, I could say. And I've had prophetic dreams in my life as well. So the dream world, dream component is very active for me. But the couple of nights leading into the total lunar eclipse, the blood moon, I had some super intensified dreams, and some were a little bit scary, actually, incredibly intense, but I was able later to take great power and meaning from them, and really actually resolve something within my own self personally that I was working through. So, lunar eclipses tend to stir up the unconscious quite a bit, and it certainly does activate dream life quite a bit as well. And it does actually activate what's happening out there externally in the world as well. I mean, the word lunar, if you think about the word lunar and the word lunatic or lunatics, which was, an old sort of term or expression, it's not a very nice way to describe somebody, but it was used a very, very long time ago to describe behaviors that seem imbalanced in terms of mental health. And certainly, through the years, there's been a lot of documented information that points to not even total lunar eclipses, but even just full moons, which we have every single month, as we know. Full moons tend to stir up the unconscious, so they stir up a lot of behaviors in people, you could say. And certainly when people have some kind of mental health struggles, I would rather call them, or are engaging in some types of substances that can induce certain altered states of consciousness, the full moon can really mess with that as well. So we do need to be quite aware of these things, and certainly what we're doing to ourselves or our bodies. Okay, so as I said, when you're looking at even the eclipse that we just had on the 31st of January, and when you look at the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 16th of February, which is a Leo Aquarius energy again, the Leo Aquarius energy of eclipses takes us right through to November of 2018. So that's pretty much 18 months since May 2017. So that's the nodes spending 18 months in two particular signs. And as they're going through those eclipses, it essentially means that for that 18-month period, you're going to have, in this particular case with these eclipses and these particular signs, Leo and Aquarius, wherever they are situated in your birth chart, those houses, and it's usually going to be up to 4 houses. So make note of where Leo and Aquarius are in your birth chart. Now, it depends what house system you use. Some people use whole sign houses, which then just leaves 2 houses to be involved. So, you know, that's a personal preference. I don't use whole sign houses. Some people do. That's okay. Just use what you feel works for you. I use a system where it happens that I have Leo and Aquarius on the cusp of 4 different houses. As I said before, the 1st and the 7th are the ascendant and descendant, and the 2nd and 8th houses. So those 4 houses have been eclipsed since May of 2017 for me, and are currently still being eclipsed, and there will be until November of 2018, and that will be the case for you in terms of where Leo and Aquarius is in your chart. So really have a look at those houses and trace back to May of 2017 and reflect on the events and circumstances around your own life from then until now, and you know, have a look at the dates of when the actual eclipses were as well, to give you more of a time frame that you can work with in terms of when there was more highlighted or heightened types of events or circumstances taking place and unfolding. So that's that, and you know, this idea really comes from Bernadette Brady, who, in my opinion, is you know, really one of the she's the eclipse goddess. She's a wonderful astrologer who has you know, produced incredible work, and you know, she's up there with, you know, the elite astrologers. And actually, her book, this is one of her books, The Eagle and the Lark it's called, and this is a textbook of predictive astrology. So it has she has some work in there relating to progressions and transits as well. But there's a whole section that covers eclipses, which you know, that's one of her specialties. So if you really want to get your head around eclipses, I would suggest or encourage you to perhaps get this book. Her message about the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 16th of February is quite a nice message. It's quite a positive message. So that also then extends to you know, the month of February is not a particularly intense month, so we can, you know, take a breather. It's, you know, the energies have been quite intensified for quite some time. So anyway, look, leading up to this, you know, we're well and truly now into the month of February. It's actually the 3rd of February today where I am. And I was just having a look at the energies over the month of February, and you know, what those patterns kind of show. And very simply put and very briefly put, you know, this month is going to be, yeah, more of a breather, more of an easy kind of flow of energy. And actually, all right, well, let's talk a little bit about the partial solar eclipse, which is happening on the 16th of February. So it's a new moon. You know, solar eclipses are always a new moon, sun and moon together in the heavens. It's at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So again, we've got the Leo Aquarius energy following through, which started in May of 2017. And this eclipse belongs to the one south in Bernadette Brady book, and I'll just read you what she says. It's a very brief couple of sentences, but you know, we can take something from it. So she says, this family of eclipses is concerned with ideas and their enthusiastic expression. The reason she says that is because Mercury is widely conjunct the South Node in this particular eclipse. So Mercury is all about ideas, essentially. then she goes on to say, if this eclipse affects your chart, you will be flooded with ideas or options. That sounds good to me. There may seem to be an element of haste, so just watch that, because I think what she's saying is that with the possibility of so many options and ideas, you may be inclined to, you know, to act too hastily towards things. So I guess what she's suggesting is that let's perhaps, you know, really take some consideration, some serious consideration, before we actually do step into, you know, these options and ideas that are presenting to us. And she follows through by saying, if you can go with the new idea, sorry, let me just start that sentence again. It'll make more sense if I do. There may seem to be an element of haste, but if you can go with the new ideas, they will have positive outcomes. So yeah, look, that's all she says about that eclipse. Sometimes her comments are a little bit longer. On this particular one, it's quite short. I think she's really just delineating there the Mercury on the South Node. And let me just quickly bring up the chart just to refresh my memory. So, nope, that's not it. Sorry, I've just got about 50 charts here on my list. Just need to find the right one. That's it. Okay. So yeah, so look, Mercury's in Aquarius on the South Node. It's a fairly wide conjunction, but it's still there. And I guess, you know, that's why Bernadette has actually said that, you know, lots of different ideas. And look, Mercury in Aquarius is a great sign. It's a great place for Mercury. I know that when I've encountered people who have Mercury in Aquarius, they've usually got quite a brilliant mind, you know, just a really innovative, really open, clear, you know, mental, mercurial expression. So Mercury in Aquarius does really well. And this is where it is in this particular partial solar eclipse. And Juno is there as well, actually. Juno is very closely conjunct Mercury, and I sort of was trying to get a sense of what that would mean. And the message that sort of came up for me quite strongly was that, you know, maybe this eclipse, this partial solar eclipse, it might bring up some points around in people's lives relating to contractual agreements, commitments in partnerships. Something around that kind of theme might be presented to you in a way where you need to maybe let something go. Maybe some kind of partnership contractual agreement isn't quite what you thought or wanted it to be, so maybe it's time to let go, because it's a South Node. So South Node is always about moving away from, letting go, releasing, so that we can, you know, move to the North Node. So something about partnerships, commitments, there may be a letting go process of some sort. It doesn't mean that we necessarily need to end a partnership. I'm not saying that as in black and white, but there will be some consideration, I think, around partnerships, commitments and agreements of some sort, because Juno is the goddess of marriage, but, you know, she's the goddess that really represents in our chart, it's where we really feel that we need fairness and equality to be present in a partnership, whether it's business or personal, but it's more specifically personal with Juno. Can also relate to other contractual agreements as well, though the element of or the theme of fairness and equality is really, really important when Juno shows up. So I'm guessing there'll be some issues around that particular theme for people, or something highlighted where something needs to be released and let go of, which is not a bad thing, because, you know, if something's not conducive to our path of evolution, essentially, and is no longer serving us, well, then we need to find ways to let go of things, don't we? It's the hanging on and the attachments that generally bring about a lot of suffering and problems for people. Okay, so yeah, so look, overall, it's a fairly easy sort of energy with this solar eclipse on the 16th of February. A lot of Aquarius energy, which is not really difficult energy, Aquarius necessarily. But of course, we've got Leo coming into it because the North Node's in Leo, and we've had that energy of Leo Aquarius, prominent, since May 2017. So I don't know what that has been for you. You really need to look at where those signs are located in your birth chart. So obviously it's about understanding the nature of those signs and what they actually represent archetypally, and certainly, the houses that they land in. So therefore, what do those houses represent for you in your birth chart? For me, as I said, first house, 7th house, and second house, 8th house. So it's been a lot of issues around relating, individual expression, values, finances, death, transformation, and stuff like that. So really powerful, intense energies. Yeah. Okay, I didn't want to make this video too long, so perhaps I'll leave those points there. Just another couple of points about solar and lunar eclipses. I mean, solar eclipses, don't forget, please keep in mind, look at what's been happening since May 2017 to get a feel for the entirety of this energy, okay? But anyway, solar eclipses, they're usually, it's a solar masculine energy, so it's generally external energy, which manifests out there. And, solar eclipses can really bring up some chaotic kind of circumstances and events at times, and the lunar eclipses can really stir things up emotionally because they stir up the unconscious, but on a more positive level, the lunar eclipses really represent that divine feminine expression and the internal processes and changes and illuminations that can come out of a lunar eclipse. So they both represent different things, but one's masculine, one's feminine, clearly. So yeah, went through that. And went through that. Okay, so I just want to finish up with Mars in Sagittarius, because that's the flavor for until the 18th of March. But I might do another update for the month of March anyway. But okay, so Mars went into Sagittarius on the 27th of January. So we've got a strong flavor of Aquarius happening at the moment because the Sun moved into Aquarius on the 21st of January, so did Mercury, and I'm very pleased about that. Mercury leaving Capricorn, that is. Mercury in Capricorn, I mean, it is what it is, and its archetypal energy is what it is. But yeah, I much prefer Mercury in Aquarius and Capricorn personally. So, okay, so Mars in Sagittarius is, this is really important because it just so happens that this particular year, as Mars spends his time in Sagittarius until the 18th of March, 18th of March, Mars goes into Capricorn, which is great because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so it's actually quite a powerful place. But Mars in Sagittarius is a really powerful place as well. And so from the 18th of March right through till mid-November, Mars will be basically moving, direct and retrograde through just two signs, Aquarius and Capricorn. So we're going to have a big dose of Capricorn Aquarius energies through Mars after March. So I'm mentioning that because I guess it's good to know that Mars will be in Sagittarius until 18th of March. So it's a great time to really make the most out of this beautiful Sag fiery energy, which evokes inspiration, enthusiasm, expanding your horizons, you know, really going for your goals and your dreams, and really feeling very inspired and encouraged and motivated, and loads of energy behind it to go for things. So don't forget, you know, Mars is it's our desires essentially, and it's how we assert ourselves, of course, and it's our willpower to a very large extent, although, you know, Pluto is the higher force of that, but Mars certainly represents that too, and Mars is certainly our courage. So, you know, put it in the sign of Sag. You know, we're going to have quite a few weeks here where we will feel essentially really inspired and motivated to really express our drive and desire and passions to explore, maybe even to travel. This could be a really good time for traveling as well. Don't forget, we can travel in our minds too, so it doesn't just have to be physical traveling. But it's a restless kind of energy too. It's a mutable quality, Sagittarius, so it's quite restless. It needs a lot of variety, and it needs a lot of experience and the ability to really explore and, you know, push those boundaries. Boundaries is Saturn, Capricorn, and Sag is, you know, it's that arrow shooting into the sky. You know, it's moving beyond all limitations as they appear. So it's also accessing the intuitive right brain. So allow yourself to connect to that, you know, that right brain intuition, inspiration, where you can actually connect to more powerful truths for yourself, that is, because, you know, truth is it's a personal thing, I think. So it's just an energy that will inspire you and encourage you to delve deeper into those elements. And, you know, Sag is religion as well. So, you know, I don't know, some people identify with specific religions. Maybe you're interested in exploring religions on a deeper level at this stage. I don't know, it could be any of those things. But it's certainly the invitation to expand your wisdom and right brain intuition and your goals and desires and dreams on that Sag level, which is really expansive. Don't forget, you know, Sag is ruled by Jupiter, so it's totally enthusiastic energy. It's dynamic action, inspiration, and just allowing yourself to tap into all those things that I just mentioned for the purposes of expanding your goals, taking you further into what goals you have at this point in your life. So it's a beautiful, abundant, you know, happy kind of energy. It makes us feel really alive and energetic, and just instead of feeling held back and, you know, sort of restricted, it's the opposite to that. We really feel the courage and determination and inspiration to move forward into these areas of life. So, you know, this can translate into career, other personal goals that you have, where you just feel right up until the 18th of March, you'll feel a lot more confident and excited and enthused about taking next steps and really pushing beyond. So Mars and Sag, beautiful abundance of energies, so tap into that and make the most of it. Certainly have a look at where Sagittarius is in your birth chart, because obviously that's where Mars will be transiting. Therefore, it'll liven up that area of your life. You know, that's anywhere from 1 to 12. Clearly, there are 12 houses in the birth chart. So you must always read, you know, when you're looking at a transit or a progression, anything, you need to look at it in terms of where it is in your birth chart, because Mars and Sagittarius is all those things that I just briefly touched on, and much, much more. But I'm just giving just a few pointers. But that will be experienced and translated through whatever house it falls in your birth chart. Okay, so that's the Mars and Sag, and, you know, with that as well, we had Venus move into Aquarius on the 21st of January, and on the 11th of Feb, so just a few days before the eclipse, Venus moves into Pisces, which is a beautiful energy, beautiful position for Venus. She's exalted there, so she's very, very happy. Again, that's adding to the energies of February, which are fairly soft type of energies. Fair bit of Pisces there, as we'll eventually then have the Sun move into Pisces as well, but that's March's forecast. So there you have it. That's essentially some of the themes and energies for the month of February. So it looks quite good, it's quite promising. There's a fair bit of inspiration and encouragement there to move forward in some of your goals and what you're wanting to do. And look, goals don't have to always be physical and external. We can have internal goals that are focused very much on our ascension processes and experiences. If we are connected to that kind of journey in our life, goals can also be connected to our inner life, where we're really working and developing spiritually. The spiritual evolution and expansion and experience has many different phases, and it's very personal for all of us. So it depends where you're at, both internally and externally, because anyway, where you are internally is going to reflect what's happening for you externally. So these energies, they have an internal processing function and experience, and equally an external mirror of that. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So happy February, and happy solar eclipse, which is happening on the 16th. Nice energies, enjoy them, make the most of them. Check out this Leo Aquarius theme that's been happening, as I said, for some time now, where it's located in your chart, and you'll get a sense of what this polarity of archetypal energies has brought up in your life, and what you've needed to let go of and become more aware of as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Many blessings. Namaste. See you soon.